I mean, I saw a shocking amount of anger coming at me about something we call George AI. Oh my gosh. And part of it, I guess, I excuse. Part of it I understand, I should say. Not just excuse. But some people believe that this is some kind of propaganda machine, some trick, some digital puppet where I put the words, I write the words and put it in the mouths of the founders to accept and try to convince you of whatever political position I want. I mean, how nursery school would that be? That is just so stupid that, I mean, you would think you have that. I mean, it's almost insulting. You have that little respect for me. You think that I would think that would work? More importantly, it shows me you completely misunderstand what the system actually is. Back in January, because we just released this George AI a couple of days ago, and everybody's tying it to Iran because it's about war powers. And we thought, now might be a good time to release this because we're talking about war powers. What would the founders say about the War Powers Act? Okay. Back in January, long before the current conflict that everybody's arguing about or saying that we wrote this about, I asked our proprietary research system a series of questions we planned on exploring over the next couple of months. There were like 12 different questions, okay? One of them, I mean, they were about the Constitution, about the founders, principles that built the country, but one of them was this. How do you think about war and the power to declare it? Okay. We asked our proprietary system in January. I cut that video back in January. And honestly, when the answer came back, I was surprised. I actually went back to, I don't remember, Jason or Bowie, whoever was overseeing this when I said, really, we got that from this system? And not because it agreed with me, but because it shocked me because I didn't think that's what George would have said. It forced me to reread their actual words and go back over some of their arguments, okay? And that's the first thing people need to understand. I don't give the answers spin. I don't write the answers. I have nothing to do with it. George AI does not know who I am. It doesn't know my opinions. It doesn't know Donald Trump. It doesn't know Democrats. It doesn't know Marxism. It doesn't know Iran. In fact, it can't, because the entire historic database we built for it ends at 1820. That means the system can only draw from the writings of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Madison, Franklin, Hamilton, and Jay, and the thinkers who shaped them, Locke, Montesquieu, Blackstone, Cicero, and Plutarch. Then the books that they read, the letters that they wrote, the speeches that they gave, the debates, the Federalist Papers that built our Constitution. That's it. That's it. No Wikipedia, no cable news, no modern politics, nothing. Just the intellectual DNA of the American founding. And what this system does is really actually very simple. It's amazing, but it's simple. First, it converts every document, every letter, every speech, every essay into something called an idea map, okay? And instead of searching for keywords, it searches for meaning. It's called vectoring. So if someone asks it a question about liberty or war powers or separation of powers during a crisis, it just doesn't scan the documents for matching words. It vectors, and it finds passages where the founders wrestled with those ideas, most like the question is asking for, okay? And it pulls the exact documents those ideas came from. After that, AI does what any good historian or researcher would do. It connects the dots across all of the writings and explains the pattern in plain English. And here's the crucial, critical rule. If the document says it, the system can say it. If the documents don't say it, the system cannot invent it or infer it. That's why what came back to me in January surprised me, because I know, the founders, especially Washington, was against what he called foreign entanglements. I know that. When it came back, I'm like, wow, wait, what? And now it came back the way it's airing now. It wasn't my opinion. It was historic record. Remember, this takes the record, not just from Washington, but all of the founders. Now, here's where the criticism gets really almost ironic. People are claiming that somehow this is a trick to convince Americans that the founders would want to support war with a radical Islamic Iran? Well, even if it had been, the system couldn't answer that directly because Iran didn't exist in their world. There's no information on Iran, so it wouldn't be that. But what the system did find is they did confront something remarkably similar, okay? And actually, it didn't find this. I found this after being surprised by the answer. Most Americans don't remember this history. Jefferson fought America's first foreign war against the Barbary pirates. Who were they? Radical Islamic pirates in North Africa. They were capturing sailors. They enslaved Christians. They demanded tribute from Western nations because they believed their faith justified it. So we were sending them literally pallets full of cash. Sound familiar? Pallets full of cash to keep them away from us, trying to make friends with them. Well, the young United States eventually went to war over it because it was 2/3 of our national budget. Now, that history doesn't mean the founders would support every war today. We don't know what they would do in 2026 about Iran, and anybody who claims to know for certain is selling you something. I'm not trying to tell you that's what they're for. The founders are dead and they're gone. They cannot speak. George AI is not a recreation of them. It is not their voice. It doesn't pretend to be. It is simply a living research library built entirely from their own words and then their ideas that shape them. Think of it this way. For 200 years, we have relied on historians, professors, politicians, and even, yes, talk show host boobs like me to interpret the founders. And sometimes that interpretation is honest. Sometimes it isn't. George AI removes the middleman, okay? It lets the document speak first. It's reading their words in a way people of today can relate to answer specific questions. And if you read about how the way the founders argued and finally decided to go to war with Islam, with the Muslim pirates, Barbary pirates, I mean, it's exactly what's happening today. They argued back and forth. It hasn't changed. And if you found a book that's talked about this and it was at the same time we're going to war, would you say, oh, we've got to ban that book or burn that book, or we've got to ridicule that book because it's trying to convince people? No, it's just telling you what they said, what they did. Sad to say, some people would burn that book or ban that book, but they'd be wrong. Now, here's the part I understand. I know that AI is not trustworthy. And I've told you for decades, almost 2 decades now, do not fear the machine. Fear the algorithm. Fear the people who wrote the algorithm. And they'll never make it public because that's their secret sauce. I'm making the algorithm of George AI public. Right now, the system is still in beta. That's why we haven't released it to everybody. We're still expanding the library and fine-tuning the system. But when we are sure we have it right before we open it up for everybody, it will be 100% transparent. We will show you the code. Most people can't read the code, but I want you to ask somebody who does read code, what does this mean? And it will show you. If it doesn't come from this data set, it cannot say it. It cannot go out and grab it or make it up. It must memorize it, and it's only that data set. And it stops at about 1820, 1830. And I'll release that because it's not just not right. I think it's unreasonable for me to ask you to trust and then hide the machine. So when we have it right, hopefully soon, hopefully by the end of the year, all of it will be out. But you'll be able to ask it a question yourself. And when you do, it's not going to just give you an answer. It will show you the actual quotes the answers came from. You'll be able to read Washington in a language you understand. You'll be able to talk to this AI who is playing the role based on his words. Jefferson, Madison, directly. You can get them all in together to argue something, and you'll see how they would have argued it. It's amazing. And sometimes you'll agree with what you find. Sometimes you won't. But that's the point. The only answer I have ever wanted, the only answer worth having, is not the one that proves my argument. It's the one that is true and comes from the historic record. And if we can give Americans direct access to that record again in a way that they can use and understand, then maybe, just maybe, we can start remembering who we are and what this republic was built to be.
Thank you for thinking for yourself and being part of a movement, because that's really what all of this is. If you want the full story, you want to go deeper, go to blazetv.com/Glenn. Go there right now, sign up, no interruptions, just the truth, uncensored and unfiltered. Don't just watch, take a stand. And I'll see you over there in a minute.